my little thumb plane. A beautiful little thing, handmade. Got this from... Let's see what we have underneath. Very nice. Right, the time has come to do the profile, having done the plan. Now, an explanation of what these slots are for, which I don't think I've explained so far. They do have two purposes, but they're not working as well as I'd hoped, because the width of the two layers of masking tape underneath are wider than I thought. We've got about 0.5 millimetre extra, because I'm pretty sure this is about 6.5 millimetres, and it's reading as, okay, 6.8, maybe a third of 7. But at least with the slots here we can get an idea of the width of the bridge at various points. It hasn't worked out quite as I'd expected with the slots here. I really intended them to be a little bit further forward, because it's left these very delicate edges exposed, unsupported underneath. But the general idea is that the block of wood gives good support, and it should give us less chance of breaking the bridge while we're shaping it. I want to plane the top surface to get it nice and smooth, and I'm a little bit worried about these edges, not so much because of plane blades, but more if the nose of the plane hits them, they might break off. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is, with my little plane, I'm just going to take the edges off, get them down, so that I can then plane the top without any fear of hitting the delicate bits. This is a beautifully precise tool. I'm quite pleased with what this is doing. Obviously this isn't the final shaping at all, because we're going to be taking a whole layer off this, but it leaves me hopeful that I should be able to get this shape quite nicely without too many problems. That's beautifully smooth already. That's probably as much as I want to take off the top. Actually, I did a bit of a naughty then. I changed the angle of the plane as I was going along, so I wasn't maintaining symmetry. I mustn't do that. I must keep the angle of the plane consistent all the way along. Now I've just put a round on that. But I might actually make it more of a slope down from the top, but maybe I'll leave that until I've done the rest of it. Let's bevel the other edge. I just tried the spoke shave out on a scrap of wood, and it, despite me having sharpened this and got a real polish on it, it didn't feel, it just felt like it was chopping at the wood. It didn't feel like it was taking smooth shavings, so I don't know whether I've got this properly sharp. However, this appeared to perform a lot better. My little thumb plane, a beautiful little thing, handmade. Got this from China. They even put an inlaid dot on the end of it. I really do like this plane. And I've got a nice polish on this blade. It should be quite sharp. So, rather nervously, let's see what happens. Yeah, I don't know whether the blades... I think it needs to go out a little bit. I need to hit it with something. Yeah, it's... I don't know whether this is how I envisage this carving going. It's just taking tiny little shavings. I was hoping I was going to get a nice curly shaving as I went through it, but what I might do actually is put a line on here beyond which I must not go. Didn't realise I'd got quite so close to the bridge slots with the laying out of this. This front edge is slightly narrower than the rear edge. The bridge comes in parallel with the, well, not quite parallel with the strings, it's a little bit tighter than that. But I don't want to go anywhere near the saddle slot with my profiling. In the spirit of trying all my tools, I'm going to try this microplane, but I have a feeling it might be a little bit too brutal for this. We'll see what happens. Just see if I can just take a little bit off the edge. Yeah, it's taking quite large chunks off. No, it might be too much. Well, just a delicate little touch is all that's needed. I'm going to turn that around and do exactly the same to the other edge. I'm not really pressing, I'm just letting it glide over the surface. I'm just going to take a little bit off the middle there. Just want to get a curve here. This should be the thinnest part just here. This is going to need a lot of smoothing. But if you're in a hurry, this tool is great. Right, I've had a think and I've decided that as far as getting the profile of the dip here correct, then the right combination of tools is the microplane for taking it off roughly, and then because it's a nice predictable concave curve, a cabinet scraper, and so I can just get it smooth afterwards. And it really just takes the roughness off it. It needs a nice smooth surface. Just going to take a little bit off the ends. Don't want want it to come up a little bit, but not too much at the moment. These ends are the same height as this, so we'll just take a few shavings. Actually, I think I've now taken enough off the middle that we should start getting more of a side profile and getting some curves onto these edges. And I've got to decide what's the best way to do that, whether I use the microplane. Maybe I will just use the microplane a little bit. I'm getting a lovely smooth bevel on this with the scraper. This is definitely the tool to use. The thing I'm unsure about is how low to take the bevel, whether to go right down to the very edge of the bridge or leave a certain amount of it vertical. It's very easy to take a notch at the bottom as the grain direction changes. It's the scraper bites, but I guess, yeah, using a lower scraper angle may be the way around that. It's surprising how much material I can take off with the scraper, actually. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a notch there. It's something I've got to be careful about. It's tricky scraping past. No, the scraper's now emphasising that notch. You can see the notch that I've created there. It's a danger sign because this is as thin as I want to go. So I've got to get that notch out somehow without taking any more wood across there. I can't go any thinner. So I'm just going to rub with a bit of sandpaper either side and then hopefully get rid of that notch, but not take any more off there. I can't go any thinner without risking the integrity of the bridge. It's got to the stage where 120 grit sandpaper is probably as coarse a tool as I need to use. I've got a bit of an angle which I want to get rid of. I've really got to take some material off both sides in order to get rid of that notch. I want a nice smooth curve. I've got the notch out and I've got a nice smooth profile, none of this sort of impression. So I'm quite happy with that, but that's absolutely as thin as I want to go. That's 4mm. On my plans, I think I had that as 3mm, but looking at this, I want to maintain some integrity in the bridge. If I go any thinner, that's going to be really weak, and when I clamp it, it may break. I'm going to have to create a custom caul for this, so that I've got proper support there when clamping. So onto the other wing, and I will carry on using the scraper a little bit, but I've just got to be a little bit more careful. I think I was slightly concerned at the notch I put in the other side, but it does take a lot of material off fairly quickly, this. I never really imagined the scraper as a carving tool, but it really is. This is 120 grit paper, and it's taking quite a lot off. It's surprising how quickly it comes together. And so to the flour-de-lys. I did think about taking the plane to it again, and I want to get the edges down a fair bit. But I'm doing quite well with my sandpaper, so I think I'll just carry on going. I'm going to see if I can just sort of get a little definition to each individual leaf, just by very carefully, I haven't got this tight, very carefully notching. Profile of this is it's a sort of rounded flat file. It's got two edges to it. It's not a round file. Just trying to create a little crease here. It's coming along nicely, and got the good shape to the fleur-de-lys. It's all looking quite smooth, although I do need to do some final sanding. But it's highlighted, all this lovely curvature has highlighted the fact that I need way more of a bevel here. It's far too square. I probably need to round over these corners a little bit as well. So I think it's back to the miniature plane. I'll put this in the vise a little tighter, and just take a little bit more off this bevel. I've got to the point now where 120 grit paper seems too coarse, so I've got to go down the grades, but it's starting to get dark, and I think I'll leave it there. It's looking really nice. Whew, I didn't break anything.